few preliminaries, ladies and gentlemen, regarding today's session. Actually, it's quite a broad area as computational mathematics and telecommunication. And we have 6 papers in diverse areas. And one of the papers will not be presented, so we have 5 presentations. And I would like you to kind request to limit your presentation to a maximum of about 12 minutes. And also, the organizers tell me, in the interest of time, we will be having the question and answer session at the end of the session, which could be a bit inconvenient, but I kindly request you to note down any questions with respect to any papers that you might have, and we will have the session, the Q&A session at the end. So with that preliminaries, let me start the session. Our first paper is on complex valued independent component analysis for image enhancement by Dr. Sumanapala, S. Thushan, MPB Ekanayake, GMPR Godaliyadda, and SAHA Suraweera, JV Wijayakulasooriya. And the presenter is S. Thushan. Mr. Thushan is a final year electrical and electronics engineering student at the University of Peradeniya, interested in signal processing technique, signal processing and communication, and involved in 2 projects which are independent component analysis techniques for source separation and 3D rendering of objects through multi-vision sense array system in the final year. The old boy of St. Michael's College. May I invite Mr. Thushan to come forward and start his presentation.
Good morning to all. Our project is a complex value independent component analysis for image enhancement. First of all, I start with the problem. Here, there are 4 images mixed together. We don't know anything about that, but we have to extract. How to extract? We have to exactly get that 4 images. We don't know anything. Can we tell it's blind? Yes. We have to say this is blind source separation because we don't know any awareness of the sources. Here, it's just a model. S1 and S2, 2 are sources, and X1 and X2, 2 mics are there. Those are mixed randomly. We can't predict what they mix together. And we know only 2 mixtures are there, X1 and X2 mixtures. But we have to exact S1 and S2 separately. That is the concept of our project. I can explain that one with a small example, the cocktail party problem. For a cocktail party, there are many people are talking, dancing, whatever they do. As a separate person, as a human, we can easily identify this person is doing this thing. This person is dancing with our mind, with our knowledge. So, like that same, we have to identify everything separately. Independently, we have to identify. So, this concept is created from the cocktail party problem. So, here, for the blind source separation, there are many methods are using in the world. But our target is independent component analysis. So normally it can be applicable in audio processing, medical, finance, traffic sensor system, in many places it can be applicable. So I just come to the mathematical model. Here 2 sources are there, 2 mics are there, everything mixed. We just make as an easy matrix format. So here we know only X, but we have to find S. We don't know anything about the A. So it's start with that unknown thing, but we have to find everything separately. So here, this is just a model we make. We have to tune the W, that weight vector, until we have to find all the sources. So that means everything mixed together. So if we increase the independent, everything, if we make everything independent, then everything should be separate. No? So earlier for the mixtures, everything's are mixed together. So that means maximize the independence is our theme. So for that, we just think, how can we go for this approach? So we just get the idea about the sources, and we start with the Gaussianity. Normally for the Gaussianity, in the all sources in the world, we can be separated into super Gaussian and sub Gaussian. Normally super Gaussian means the people talking, the singing, those things. Sub Gaussian is sine wave, square pulse, those things. So therefore we can easily say all the mixtures should be Gaussian. So therefore, if we can find any methods about the Gaussianity to identify separately, then it's easy to identify. Normally, the mixtures are created from the sources if we increase the Gaussianity. If we increase the Gaussianity, the mixtures are created. So therefore, we can easily say, if we increase the non-Gaussianity, definitely the sources we can be extracted from the mixture. For that, what we have to do? For that, we introduce the method for kurtosis, because before we have to identify Gaussianity, have to measure Gaussianity. So however we have to measure Gaussianity, then only we can go to our approach. So that's why we introduce kurtosis. This is the equation for the kurtosis. Normally, the mixtures are there. First we find the kurtosis values. Normally for the kurtosis, the maxima and minima should be there. The positives are local maximas and the negatives are local minimas. Normally, for the all positive things are super Gaussian signals and local minimas sub Gaussian signals. So now when we get this picture, we can easily say how many super Gaussian and sub Gaussians are there. Now we know something about the sources. Now we have to identify separately. For that, we are using gradient ascent or descent method. With that method, we have to check all the points and have to identify the source separately. So first we identify one source. Then what we have to do? We just using Grant-Smith orthogonalization, this method, and just apply there in the mixture. Just get the one source out. Then the remaining part is there. Then we do the same procedure. Have to get that one source out. Then we do the same procedure. Likewise, we have to do until we get all the sources. Before that, I have to introduce the principal component analysis. That means here everything should be independent, because it is the theory called independent component analysis. Earlier, if the mixtures are correlated, then there are no meaning of using independent component analysis. It says we can't extract anything. Likewise, so have to find what are the uncorrelated mixtures. So first we get, there are 10,000 or whatever the samples of mixtures. Then we using PCA and have to identify what are the uncorrelated mixtures. Then we do our procedure. Here, this is the whole picture of our project: dimension reduction, finding the maxima and minima, then exact sources, GSO, and dimension reduction. Likewise, we have to do up to we find all the sources. So now I come to my part. That is, our target is images. So normally, the images are two-dimensional. Everyone know, but we developed the theory for one-dimensional. So we have to make the two-dimensional images into one-dimensional. So how? For that, we are just unwrapping the image like this matrix and get a one, like for one picture is like one sample. Likewise, we can make the image into sample. Here, the 4 images are mixed together. We don't know anything. We just apply and see about the results. Here we got that output. But we are not happy with that output because you can see the first and last outputs they are some kind of mixed together. So we are not happy with the results. So then we think and do something more. That is, we plan to apply the complex valued ICA. That's why we introduced complex kurtosis value. This is the equation, and the special thing of this method is the speed and the quality was increased rapidly. It should be very perfect one. Then we applied complex value ICA, and let's see about the result. This is the real value ICA, and another one is the complex value ICA outputs. These are 2 kind of outputs. Then from the mixture we identify the images. Then we have to clean up the image, because normally for all the images dark area and shadow should be there. Normally the shadows are still the problem in the image processing. So we have to find some methods. So here this method is our own creation. That means we try in many methods, suddenly find this method. So the next slide shows about that work. First we take one output image and we just make it in RGB components and treat them as a sources, and using ICA and get that output, and we select that what is the largest variance one we select and just keep that one, and we take that original image again and do it separately into HSV format and replace the V component instead of the large variance component. Then we get some output. So then we convert that into again RGB and we get that output. So here we make into RGB and separate the images, and largest variance one is there, and then we replace. Here the equalized image, the original image, you can see the 2 block areas. The first one is the tree is there. We can't see anything, all the black keys. Here we can identify it separately. Likewise, look at this picture. In the first place we can't see the much more details, and second one more thing, this is not for the photographic purpose, this is for the detailed picture purposes. In this picture we can't see anything, just the dark areas are there in the first picture. In second one we can see some things are inside there. For the face recognition, it's a most useful concept, because in the third picture there's so much of dark areas are there, shadows are there, that we can't predict about the hairstyle. In the second one we can see this is the real picture of the person. Likewise, so normally it can be applicable in 3D reconstruction, because normally the 3D reconstruction we don't worry about the colors. We want to know about the texture details. Therefore we have to apply the concept and then get the pictures, and then we do the reconstruction. Original image and the texture images are there.
2 minutes more.
This is the output. So now this shows the final video, shows the whole picture of our work. this is the conclusion of our project. These are the reference. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Thushan. As I mentioned at the beginning, I hope you'd have actually taken down any questions related to the paper. So we'll take them up at the end of the session. Thank you very much. Let's give the speaker a hand.